One of the frequently asked questions about registering a company in China is what are the structural requirements? For example, if you want to register a company which is a limited liability company wholly owned by foreign people, also known as WFOE, there are two positions required, so you have to prepare these two positions. Number one is the director of the company, and number two is going to be the supervisor of the company. Now, these two positions are required by the government, and they can be of any nationality. But the important thing is, director of the company should be in China or should be able to travel to China in order to open a bank account. And most of you know that during the pandemic, it's not so easy to travel to China. For that, you can check our video on nominee director. But when we talk about the supervisor of the company, he or she is not, required to be in China for, doesn't have to visit any department to sign anything. But in the beginning, during the registration, he or she need to sign a couple of documents which are related to the structure of the company again. But those documents can be sent to the supervisor by email, and then they can sign it and return the original signed document by post. So regarding the shareholders now, shareholders can be up to 50. They can be both individuals and corporate shareholders, and they can be of any nationality, including Chinese nationals. So you can actually partner with them. You can include Chinese nationals, individuals, or the companies. But the very important thing you have to note is, shareholder is not a position. So this is very important point for people who are planning to apply for visa. So if you're planning to apply for some kind of work visa under your company, you have to hold a position in your company, which is a job. So like I mentioned, two required positions, which are director and supervisor. It can be, taken by anybody, but like I mentioned, most important thing for the director is to be here in China, or at least, he or she must be able to travel to China to open a bank account and visit the tax office for ID verification. Another very important thing is director cannot take the role of the supervisor. Okay, this has to be two people separate. So you cannot be at the same time supervisor and director of the company. So you need to keep this in mind. You need to appoint at least two people for these two positions separate. And when people ask, can I be a shareholder at the same time and then be the director of my company? The answer is yes, you can. You can own a stock in your company. If you want, it can be 100% stock. You can be a sole shareholder of the company. And at the same time, you can take up one of these positions that I mentioned. So if you are the sole shareholder of the company, then obvious answer will be you can be the director of the company. But in this case, you need to prepare somebody to take the position of a supervisor. Like I mentioned, again, supervisor can be anywhere in the world. They're not asked to come to China at any moment, which is not required at all, actually. Director can act on the company's behalf. And if anything needs to be signed, supervisor can sign those documents from distance. But a last important point I want to mention related to supervisor is during the company's corporate bank account opening, supervisor's original passport should be able to be sent. Okay, it has to be available for the director in China. So for example, let's illustrate, if the supervisor is somewhere in the US, maybe in America, they should be at least willing to send their original passport via post to the director of the company who is in China, so that they can go to the bank and to the tax office with the two original passports. Okay, passport of the director and passport of the supervisor. So for that reason, we always encourage, when you appoint people director and the supervisor of the company, you need to consider this travel arrangements. Before the pandemic, it was easy to travel to China, but nowadays, with the travel restrictions and COVID, it's not so easy. So, keeping that in mind, it's better to appoint somebody who is in China as a director of the company, and somebody who can trust their passport to the director. Okay, they can either send via post, or at least, you know, maybe you can find somebody as a supervisor also in China, right? So like I mentioned before, now foreigners can form a company together with the Chinese nationals. So it might be possible that you can, you know, consider a local person as a supervisor as well. So with that, I'm going to finish this video. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Leave your questions in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.